Yeah, at least according to my audio settings, you are not getting picked up by OBS. That's hilarious. I can't stand that. I cannot believe. Wow, okay. This yeah, this might have been solved. This wouldn't have been solved by having somebody on the stream watching us, but you know, oh no, oh no. YouTube says that we have 3 concurrent viewers. Mm-hmm. One of them was my mom. Yeah, she may still be watching, listening. Somebody has been listening to me talk to myself in what is the most insane way possible. Wow. Yes, because I was extremely hyped to have a stream that is mostly taken up by us discussing historical clothing. And now, what the hell? Hmm. Yeah, this is good. I mean, this is. Hmm. Yeah, how are they? Well, I know how they are. They're rather eventful right now, but hmm, that's good. No, hmm, that would come with extremely old serger, wouldn't it? Oh yeah, it's your sewing machine that's older, isn't it? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, now it would seem that OBS is acting up on me and not even allowing me to play with audio capture. Yeah, because now I'm really curious about this. But yeah. So what did you do over at Sarai? Oh wow. Okay. Hmm. That's really cool. Hmm. That's good. I'm not vaccinated, but also I'm over here. So there have been a couple of cases in the city apparently. So everybody's kind of on alert, but it's still like only a few. Hmm. Yeah, no, not great. How to record audio from Discord on OBS. Step 1. Check which device your Discord audio is going to. In your Discord settings, check the name of the output device. Add a device to your OBS. Oh, I see what I may have to do. Alright, try talking now.
Okie dokie.
I have your audio. Alright. Well, this is funny.
Hooray.
That was a learning experience.
Was it just like a setting you had to change?
Yeah. I had to make sure that Discord linked up to the audio output device that connects it to OBS. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I unmuted the stream and it finally caught up.
yeah. All right. Well, good to know for
Right.
future streams. We'll just have to rehash the whole witches conversation again some other time.
That whole like magic and witchcraft class was a gold mine of persona ideas
Mm-hmm.
though.
So, what are some other gold mines that you might what is another gold mine of oh, what is another persona that you got out of
There's
that class?
I'd need some more time to work them fully out because I wasn't thinking about it at the time during the class, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some interesting stuff about people just making up news.
I think that's a
Like
constant
I heard
throughout
that
history, isn't it?
yeah, like I heard this thing from like my cousin's sister's friend's roommate who lives 3 towns over, and she totally saw this witch thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think maybe being a scholar at various points that like did a lot of the theorizing about what magic was good and what wasn't
Mm-hmm.
would be very interesting. Um, like work with the guy who wrote a bunch of stuff about how, listen, men, despite what you hear, the witches cannot steal your genitals. That's not a thing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
or
Hmm. Well, now we have professionals for that. So,
yeah. Um, if you go a little bit earlier when magic, before the whole all magic evil theory was fully developed,
hmm
you can be a magician.
hmm I mean, Valia did that whole class on Byzantine sorcery, which
Yeah,
be cool to get her on stream to talk about.
yeah.
And I mean, some of the stuff in this here is definitely pagan. Like, I don't think all of this comes out of the Greco-Arabic medical tradition.
Yeah, no. Um,
I mean, the book literally starts with like, here's the story of how these doctors got their medical knowledge from the Lady of the Lake. I think I sent that story to you, didn't I?
no, I don't think you did.
Oh well, I sent it to you because I thought it was funny because this Welsh farmer is trying to woo this fairy lady who lives in the lake, and he keeps trying to offer her bread, and like the first time she says like it's like, oh, your bread is too hard baked, and so the next time he comes back and he brings her raw dough, and she says, your bread is too undercooked, I won't marry you, and the third time it's what is it, he brings bread that's just barely cooked, and she's like, okay, now I'll marry you, and there's still more fairy shenanigans after that, but I don't know, I just thought that baking based courtship ritual with fairies was like right up there with your wheelhouse.
See, the solution to that is you use an instant read thermometer to check how done your bread is.
I think if you had an instant read thermometer, we wouldn't be dealing with bear's dung and fox gall and whatever else.
Well, if you want the non-instant read thermometer solution, if you tap the bottom of your bread to see if it sounds hollow, then you'll also know if it's done.
Did I tell you that in quarantine?
Is he cutting the bread before it cools properly? Is that his problem? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't go into the details. I think there needs to be a
okay.
feature-length movie about Sine van Vach so that we can get to the bottom of these questions. Am I going to learn medieval Welsh? Yes.
Sure.
I have too many languages on my plate right now. I have too many book recommendations, and I have too many languages on my plate right now.
See, this is the thing where I'm like, I'm not allowed to buy a loom, no more string-based hobbies. And I'm like, well, you can do tablet weaving
Mm-hmm.
with just some pieces of cardboard and tying it to yourself and like a heavy object. So that's not technically a loom, right?
Yeah, see, that's the modern equivalent of the rule of Saint Benedict technically only has rules about eating in the refectory. So we can eat as much beef in the misericord as we want, and we're technically not breaking the rule.
So what you're saying is I'm making a very historical argument.
Yes, is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
You've seen that tasting history video with
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I might put the story at the end of the book. This one, I actually now don't remember why I cut it out. Maybe I just wanted to get straight to the medical weirdness. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm just Ben's buying some fabric, and I'm texting him the discount code to use.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
What fabric is he buying?
Linen for his arming doublet and Aventail.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently the way his arms and I think maybe his legs work, they need to be tied on to something,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs the Aventail because neck protection.
Mm-hmm. The neckle region. Were you on the list field for that stupid joke?
No, I don't believe I
Oh
was.
no. For some reason, we kept referring to the neck as the neckle region. I do not know why, but I don't think you know why half of anything happens on the practice field. The other half you know
Stuff
exactly why,
happens.
because if you don't know why, Harolf will hit you over the head and make you remember
Yeah.
it. For anyone who is listening who has no context, Harolf is an excellent teacher and he does not hit you over the head without cause or without helmet. I think it's probably rather arrogant of me to presume that anyone would attempt to cancel me on this stream, but I'm putting out public information. It's good to be responsible about the weird rumors I spread. And the text seems bolder today than it usually is, and I'm fairly sure I'm using the exact same nib as I normally do. I have two. I don't think I mixed them up. And I'm using the same ink. I'm almost wondering if it's because it's more humid today. What with the rain?
Could be.
That like the ink isn't evaporating the same way.
We're in the season here where I have to run the dehumidifier in the lab for 20 minutes before I do anything.
What happens if it's too humid in the lab?
Processes just don't work as well. You get too much moisture in between samples, and like if I'm trying to exfoliate flakes or something, I just don't get good flakes.
Hmm.
It does nothing like catastrophically breaks, but things just don't work as well.
Mm-hmm. What are you working on right now again?
Still the 2D materials stacking with an eye towards um, integrating molecules for quantum information purposes.
Fun. I am not going to be able to follow that discussion half as well as medieval fabric discussion. So we're down to like
Yeah,
1/8 comprehension.
I don't entirely know how much I should totally discuss freely and publicly before I run it by my PI. So
Mm-hmm. Is it secret?
I can talk about what he put down in the publicly available grant statement, but
No, why wouldn't you be allowed to discuss it?
research sniping.
Oh.
It's probably fine, but I also don't want to say something incorrect because undergraduate,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure on like all of the exact details, but
Mm-hmm.
we have one of our glove boxes is down, so I'm also working on trying to get that functioning again.
Now, when you say glove box,
Um, large box with shoulder length rubber gloves that you stick your hands into
oh, okay.
in a sheet of plexiglass and you fill it with like nitrogen or something else
Mm-hmm.
inert. It's good for samples that are sensitive to like air or moisture or
Mm-hmm.
something. You can fill them with like whatever gas you need and store stuff in them or just generally do air sensitive processes
Mm-hmm.
in there. And one of ours, the screen for the electronic control is not working, and also the system that strips oxygen and moisture of the interior environment isn't doing that properly. So
Well, that would not be good.
yeah, you can think of it essentially that filters need to be replaced. That's not entirely accurate, but
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's that kind of maintenance that needs to be done.
yeah, yeah, it's like it doesn't. The electronic control screen not working is a little bit more concerning, but the oxygen and moisture levels going up is nobody's done the proper routine maintenance in several years.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that the schedule it's supposed to be done on, or is that?
Um, no, you're supposed to do it more often, and I mean there could be other reasons that the oxygen and moisture levels are wrong. So there's like in one of the manuals, there's a whole like if you are seeing problem X with your glove box, you should try thing A and then thing B and then thing C
Mm-hmm.
and etc. So it could also be that in fact the purifier is fine and we need to replace the sensors,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more likely that the purifier needs to be regenerated.
Oh,
Or possibly replaced if we regenerate it and that doesn't work. There could also maybe be a leak, but that's less likely.
now a leak when you are filling something with inert gas sounds dangerous to like breathing humans nearby. Is that true?
It depends on the size of the leak and what's in the glove box. So the one I'm working with is nitrogen environment. So you'd need a pretty big leak to screw up the oxygen levels enough in
Mm-hmm.
like the room.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, one of my group members occasionally needs to fill a glove box um, with, I want to say carbon monoxide.
Mm-hmm.
And the safety procedure for that is when she does that, someone else stands outside the lab, looks through the little window in the door, and watches her the whole time.
Oh, well, I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but it also kind of underscores the whole don't play with carbon monoxide thing.
Yeah.
They never let me put my subjects in a glove box.
You don't go in the glove box, you just have to do a bunch of fiddly science procedures through a layer of plexiglass while wearing rubber gloves that are like two sizes too large.
Yeah, but they still never let me put my research subjects in a glove box.
Your research subjects wouldn't go through the vacuum antechamber. They'd contaminate the glove box.
Well, they'd go through. They just might not go through and provide me with data afterwards.
Well, they need to spend a really long time in the antechamber to get like properly pumped down and cycled with inert gas to get rid of all the oxygen and moisture in them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think by the end of that, I'd have a bit of a hard time getting the diglossia out of them.
Yeah.
But it would be so fun, wouldn't it?
Also, all the antechambers I worked with are way too small to put a person in.
Unfortunate. Oh, yeah, here we go. For a punctured wound, take
No,
the dung of a bull and apply thereto, and it will be healed. Great.
that just sounds like you're gonna get an infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who even thinks of these things? Fairies, apparently.
Well, I mean, there's some historical medicine where it's like, yeah, there's possibly some evidence they could have worked, like willow bark, that kind of thing. And then there's some of it where it's like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Well, apparently, like, noxious smells and stuff is pretty common, like, as a remedy. There are people who thought that, like, other, like, latrine odors would keep away plague miasmas as well.
Yeah, well, wasn't it because of the whole miasma, like bad air theory? So
Yeah. Which I guess they thought more bad air, apparently good.
different bad air, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Better the bad air you know than the bad air you don't. I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that might work because, like, you figure you probably breathe latrine fumes every day, and so you have a pretty good idea that they won't immediately kill you. Not as immediately as the Black Death, at least.
Yeah, yeah, the latrines are more of a problem when they drain into your drinking water.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't figure out cholera until, like, the mid 1800s.
Yeah, that one took an embarrassingly long time to figure out.
Yeah. Though I feel like with hindsight, most things take an embarrassingly long time to figure out.
Yeah, but don't drink water with poop in it. I really feel like that one should have been more obvious.
Yeah.
But I've also never lived in a world where germ theory didn't exist. So
Mm-hmm. And then you gotta think, like, did they actually, like, obviously you wouldn't just eat poop, but I wonder how many steps of separation there actually were. I wonder how conscious they were of it. Like, how often did they actually know how much poo was in the water?
yeah, if it's diluted enough that you don't totally notice it.
Yeah. And to be fair, they did have a lot of ways of procuring clean water, what with all the drinks that involve fermenting and boiling.
Yeah. I mean, the best way to procure clean water was just to put alcohol in it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it stays clean.
Well, medieval ale actually didn't have that long of a shelf life.
Mhm.
I think I think I read something about how hops were added to beer as a preservative originally,
Interesting.
or at least people who put hops in beer noticed their ale lasting longer and could export it better than regular herbed beer.
I don't really know much about the history of beer making, so
Gotta get Luca on here.
yeah.
Now, have you been hearing more from Luca and Sarai about when things are opening up to SCA over there? I haven't been paying too much attention to it, mostly because
So
online events mean less digital events for me.
we have Valia posted like official SCA guidelines, which I think we're leaving it up to the kingdom. Hang on, let me go read it. I think we have some
Hmm.
mid-realm specific things. I mean, if you can always ask Marcus if you want to know what the fighting plans
Yeah.
look like. And I think I think the gist of it is everybody's got to wear masks. It's got to be outside.
Hmm.
Um, Local events only, no traveling
Hmm.
for things,
Hmm.
that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And
SCA is so about
OSU's,
period practices right up until the plague hits, and suddenly we're not allowed to take pilgrimages to beg forgiveness of the saints anymore.
yeah, well, yeah, there's an attendance cap. You're also subject to local regulations. You have to only outside events. You have to pre-register. Practices have to have sign-in sheets. People need to stay in their regions. No communal food. No camping. You have to wear masks. No loaner gear provided at events.
I think that's the most depressing thing because loaner gear is like the most important part of the SCA to me.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to, but you have to like arrange it with the people in advance.
Oh, okay.
And martial activities, all of this doesn't even start until mid-June. Again, attendance is capped.
Hmm.
Don't travel outside of your local area. You have to wear a mask while participating in martial activities. If you are unable or unwilling to wear a mask, you can't participate. Equipment inspection will be done visually while socially distanced. Single combat only, no melee. Everybody has to do a reintroduction to martial activities while watched by a warranted marshal. No loaner gear, no communal food or drink. You have to sign in and pre-register.
Hmm.
Uh, so that kind of thing.
I'm glad that the SCA has been taking this seriously for this whole time.
Yeah.
What even is a carbuncle anyway? I know I've heard the word before, but like, what is it? Never looked at a person and been like, oh wow, they've got a carbuncle.
A carbuncle is a group of pus-filled bumps forming a connected area of infection under the skin. Carbuncles form when one or more hair follicles get infected. They often occur on the back of the neck, shoulders, or thighs. Carbuncles fill with pus, growing larger and more painful until they rupture and drain. In rare but severe cases, people may feel unwell and experience fever and chills. Sometimes carbuncles drain and heal with self-care. Others require an incision and drainage by a doctor.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Um,
well. This one at least doesn't start with dung of a
they're
bull.
they're typically infected with staph.
Oh, great.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it is.
So sort of like boils, but worse.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting.
What?
So I refreshed the stream and that actually updated the watching count. So
All right.
I am
How many people are watching?
there are two people instead of three, and like a minute ago there was one.
Hmm.
But that might have been because I was refreshing the page. So
Yeah, right now it's telling me that there's one person. All right, St. John's wort, and apply it thereto when first observed. That doesn't sound too bad.
still one of my personal favorite medieval medical recommendations was if you are congested, shove vulture brains up your nose.
How bad does your congestion have to be?
That that was the recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Where do you even get vulture brains on short notice? I think that recommendation is just to send you on a wild goose chase for vulture brains, and by the end of it, your congestion is gone anyway.
Well, there was also a thing about how like vultures will know that if you are coming to kill them for their brains, and then they'll like swallow their brain, and then they can't use it because vulture brain is super useful in medicine or something like
They
that.
will swallow their brain.
Yeah, actually, let me see if I still have that reading
Yes, please.
somewhere on my computer. This is not the correct reading, but this is the reading where the penitential tells you that you should not place your child in an oven to get rid of a fever.
The penitential tells you this?
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, why was it necessary to tell people not to put their child in the oven to get rid of a fever? Was the thought that you could just like bake
If
bread
any
using the
woman puts
child?
her daughter upon a roof or into an oven for the cure of a fever, she shall do penance for 7 years.
Oh, so it's not like a this is medically inadvisable. It's a this is a this is a sin.
Yeah, yeah. It's this is a sin.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Ooh, is this document control affable or do I need to search? Oh, good. It is. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So I'll read you the whole vulture section from this.
All right.
This is about like German wonder drug treatises, specifically Epistula de Vulture, a treatise on the virtues of the vulture. And this is an English translation. Note here the virtues of the vulture. 1. No one knows what virtues the vulture possesses and which cures it can effect. 2. At the precise moment when you capture it, you should have with you a stick from an elderberry bush, with which you will kill the vulture, and the following words must be spoken. Angela Angelus Adonai Abraham Propator vos sermonos complentur. Before dismembering it, repeat these same words again. Then wrap the skull in deerskin. If you suffer from pains of the head, hang it around your neck. You will soon feel better. Combine some vulture brain with oil and insert it into your nose. It will clear all phlegm from your head. Wrap its eyes in a wolf's skin and carry them around your neck if your eyes hurt. For the eyes, mix the gallbladder with fennel seeds and honey, smear it on your eyes in the evening and in the morning, and they will get better. Whoever suffers from epileptic seizures, take the liver, the lungs, the heart, and the blood, boil or pulverize these and combine with honey and wine, have him drink it, and his condition will improve. If someone has become paralyzed from gout, from a fall, or from a blow, take vulture blood, mix it with oil, sulfur, and pig fat, and massage him with it. It helps. Whoever suffers from fever, pulverize the lungs together with grape skins and boil this with wine. Give it to him with honey, both in his food and his drink. It helps. If a woman experiences difficulty in labor, bind some vulture feathers to her left foot. But remove these feathers from the house as soon as she has delivered in order to prevent her from being harmed. The feathers are also good for many other things. For example, against epilepsy. After a woman has given birth, take these vulture feathers, pulverize them, and prepare a salve. Anoint the newborn with it. It helps.
It helps.
So that's Vulture Treatise 1. There's how many more Vulture treatises are there? Okay, so this is Vulture Treatise 2. Saint Jerome, the venerable man, discovered in Chalden books several medicines that could be concocted from birds. Among all the birds, he came upon the vulture, and seeing the mass of remedies that had been derived from it, he exclaimed that the number of remedies equaled the number of its members. Thereafter, he pronounced the following words. 2. Whoever wishes to produce medicaments from the vulture must make sure to kill it without the use of an iron implement and to approach it without the bird noticing him, because if the vulture realizes that his life is compromised, he will quickly swallow his own brain. As soon as the vulture has been captured, dismember it so that whatever medicine you plan to make from it will not dry up and thus lose its effectiveness. There is not a single medicament that, if you include a bit of vulture brain, will not increase in strength and become infallible. Wherever swellings occur on a person, if he smears himself with an ointment containing vulture brain, these swellings will disappear immediately. Whoever is afflicted by stitches or any type of pain in insides, if he drinks a mixture of brain and warm water, he will feel great relief. If women suffering from amenorrhea drink a combination of brain and warm wine, they will soon have their menses. But should they wish to suppress or postpone their menstrual cycle, let them ingest a small portion of pulverized brain and bread made with barley. The menses will soon come to a stop. The vulture's flesh should be dried and preserved. Whoever has been bitten by a rabbit dog, if he eats some of that meat, the swellings will diminish and he will soon recover, and to such an extent that the unnamed disease will never afflict him again. Whoever suffers from toothaches, let him pulverize the vulture's eye and bill and mix this powder with warm water. Rinse the mouse with this mixture. The toothache will vanish at once. If you do not wish to follow this procedure, simply rub the teeth with that same powder. Your teeth will never bother you again. Cook the vulture's sinews in oil and keep that oil as long as you wish. Whoever is bedridden or suffers from potogara, have him lie near the fire and rub him with that oil. He will be cured within 7 days. If you suffer from suffusion of the eyes, boil the vulture's gallbladder in honey without letting it evaporate. Before going to bed, sit near the fire, shut your eyes, and apply a compress with this mixture. Then go to sleep. When you wake up the next morning, you will have bright and shiny eyes. Many physicians confirm that Hippocrates never prepared a remedy that did not include a vulture's gallbladder. Whoever agonizes from migraines and the evil disease, let him take some vulture's skin, wrap it in a piece of cloth, and tie it with a woolen string around his neck. He will find peace and never be afflicted by that illness. Um, Sorry, I lost my place. Whoever sprains his leg or any other bone, let him pulverize the vulture's bones and mix this powder with egg white to make an ointment. Apply the paste to the sore spot. He will soon feel better again. Whoever suffers from shooting pains in the sides, the hips, or the back, let him take the right foot of the vulture and cook it in oil. The salve is good against such pains. If the patient is massaged with this ointment close by the fireplace, he will feel better at once. If you wish to make yourself affable, take the right eye of the vulture and carry it in your left hand, or tie it onto your left arm. Whenever you present yourself to well-situated people, they will be favorably inclined towards you. As long as you wear, as long as you wear your amulet, you will never lose your lord's good disposition towards you. And should you happen to fall out of favor with any person, approach that person wearing the vulture's eye, and you will regain his goodwill at once. Should you have cause to worry in a judicial manner, take along that same right eye. The judgment will fall in your favor. If you wish to prepare yourself for a duel, take along the vulture's heart tied to your sleeve. No matter how serious or how dangerous this fight is, you will defeat your foe and come out of this fight honorably. In one of Galen's treatises, one reads that a king named Orestes was in possession of 2 candelabra made from the vulture's feet. Whenever the king wanted to test the power of these talons, he would order food that had already been tainted with poison to be placed at his table. At that very instant, the flame would go out, caused by the vapors emanating from the vulture's talon. Galen thus came to the conclusion that whoever has vulture feed at his table can never be harmed by any poison. So that's it. We're done with the vulture remedies from this paper.
Now, what if both combatants in the duel have vulture's hearts?
I don't know. They cancel each other out, and it's a pure test of how good you are with a sword.
Also, I'm just imagining it as like a brand name drug, like Vulture Brain. It helps. What century did you say that is from?
Those are from. I just closed the PDF. Hang on. So this is a paper between Medicine, Magic, and Religion, Wonder Drugs and German Medico-Pharmaceutical Treatises of the 13th to 16th century. Um, if anyone wants to go look that up. I don't know if it's open source or not, but it's a thing. Let me go find the Vulture page again. It's also a very funny paper because it's like a more than half footnotes.
I love those.
Yeah. It's like 60 pages, but mostly footnotes.
Do you have to read the footnotes to understand it?
No,
That's good.
like they're interesting, but you don't have to. So when are these Vulture treatises from? doesn't say specifically when this text is from, so 13th to 16th century. Let me look it up and see if I can find when it's actually from. Most of these results are in German, which is not very helpful.
I could sort through them later.
I found one English paper, but I need to get past the paywall first.
So,
There's a bunch of different versions of the specific vulture treatment. So there's one from the 11th century, four ranging from the 9th to the 12th century, and one from the 15th century, rough. So the vulture miracle cure is around for a while. I can't super easily find the dates for this specific text, but if you want to look it up and sort through the German results later, let me know if you want me to pull something from the library for you.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering how long this text is going to be once I've copied it all out, just because I think it's going to be a bit different than the mock-ups I did to start. Just what with practicing the script more and abbreviations and stuff. And so I'm wondering if I'm going to have too thin of a book and whether I might want to add stuff to the end of it. And vulture brain cures might be funny if they're period.
Yeah. I'll send you the PDF of this article we read for class, and then you can bounce the research off of that if you want.
Thank you.
No problem. There's a bunch of other stuff aside from the vulture in that specific paper. It's all about like other miracle drugs.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't everything a miracle drug back then? I don't think they really pulled punches with the "this will cure everything" back then.
Well, it was more like there were some substances that, definitely weren't supposed to cure everything. You have to do it in these specific ways. And then there were certain plants or occasionally animal parts like the vulture where they are advertised as cure alls, essentially,
That's true.
instead of necessarily using like different components
Mm-hmm.
or different key components. It's like, surprise, all vulture gallbladder.
Yeah, you do see a lot of the same ingredients coming up in this text, though. A lot of agrimony, St. John's wort, betony, a lot of the same stuff over and over again. So I wonder if that's just because it's Wales and like there's not like a huge biodiversity that far north compared to like, I mean, I say that like I know anything about the biodiversity of Greece or Rome or anything, but yeah, you do see a lot of the same herbs coming up a lot for many different things.
Mm-hmm.
But radish is specifically reserved for rabies, apparently, because I do not see that come up anywhere else.
Well, apparently you should eat your radish with dried preserved vulture flesh.
Well, yeah, that'll just cure anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll definitely get rid of the rabies.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why the medical institutions are sleeping on all of this. I mean, they want us to take what for COVID 19? They want us to take COVID 19 for COVID 19? Because that's how vaccines work, you know.
Clearly the solution is vulture brain.
Clearly, the solution is vulture brain. I think the problem is that people have vulture brains.
Don't insult the vultures like that.
You know what? That's true. I should not insult the vultures like that. All right, I'm just about packing up. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I gotta head out soon. I have
all
a
right.
early lab slot, so
Yeah, thank you for coming and checking it out and testing it out. I'm
yeah,
probably gonna cut the stream replay down to just when I'm not talking like a mad person to myself.
fair. Okay.
As funny as that would be, I think the joke runs on a little bit too long um, before getting to the punchline.
I'll I'll rehash my idea about the freewheeling peasant persona later, I
Yes, I
guess,
hope you
for the
will.
public.
All right, goodbye.
Right, bye.
And goodbye, everyone.